A new king has arrived. Chances are you believe the App State over Michigan upset in 2007 is the greatest in college football history. And yeah, I might have agreed with you before the 2024 season, but now through a hindsight lens, it's clear that this one game wipes all the others for multiple reasons. It wasn't only because Northern Illinois was the first team in their conference to beat a top 5 opponent, or the fact that it could be the first time ever that a group of 5 beats a national championship team during their run. The best part about the 2024 NIU versus Notre Dame upset is that there was a happy ending for both sides, something that almost nobody could say throughout the course of college football history.
That moment helped build the necessary strength to do it in this moment.
In this video, I'm going to compare this upset to other famous ones, justifying why it's superior and examining the positive effect it had on both NIU and Notre Dame's program. Before we get started, let me know your favorite college football upset of all time. My personal favorite, Oregon State over USC in 2008 right here in Corvallis. If you love college football, feel free to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss out on another upload just like this. I know I kicked off the video using the App State example to put things into perspective. However, if you go on YouTube right now and search for the greatest upset in CFP history, you're going to find this beauty by KTO, claiming that it's 2007 Stanford versus number 2 USC. Great choice, but it's wrong. The reason why this game is iconic is primarily due to the lopsided odds. The Cardinal entered the game as 41-point underdogs, which was considerably more than the 28 points that NIU was given. Plus, Stanford was using a backup quarterback. The Cardinal won a thriller, coming back in the fourth quarter and winning 24-23. But let's look at a few things that ruin its case for being the GOAT of upsets. First, it is a conference matchup. If you're looking for a true David and Goliath story, you're not going to get that from conference rivals. Although USC was loaded with 5-star talent under Pete Carroll, the talent gap from them to the Cardinal wasn't as big as what you'd see from a Power 5 to a Group of 5 or even FCS. I understand that Stanford was 1-3 going into the game, but all 3 of their losses were against ranked opponents. On the year, they finished 4-8 in a very loaded Pac-10. If USC was really that good and this loss was completely out of the ordinary, they would have won out for the rest of the season, but they didn't and missed out on competing for a national championship. 2 weeks later, they lost on the road to Oregon, making this upset still amazing, but not as great as it once seemed. Did this game have a seismic impact on college football like others I'll talk about in a moment? No, because most of you didn't even think of it when you clicked on this video. It was an amazing upset, yes, but it really got swept under the rug and forgotten about not too long after. On paper, the 41-point spread makes this the greatest upset of all time, but when you dig a little deeper, it loses its luster. The next game is the complete opposite. After it happened, the college football world was on fire for weeks, months, and years. Seriously, anytime someone brought up the word upset, this was the first thing that came to mind. App State versus number 5 Michigan. The spread of this game? Well, there was none officially because it was an FCS versus FBS matchup. For all of you younger fans who know App State as a typically solid Group of 5 team out of the Sun Belt, they instead used to be an FCS powerhouse. We can't be blinded by nostalgia and emotion. In hindsight, the 34-32 win by the Mountaineers wasn't as shocking as we thought at the time. Michigan was about the most overrated number 5 ranked team in the nation as you ever could have drawn up. A week after this loss, they were completely dropped out of the top 25 and got destroyed at home 39-7 by Oregon, proving their team was vulnerable. The Wolverines did have a strong finish to their year, but at the end of the regular season, they were not found in the AP poll. On the other side, App State was entering this game after winning back-to-back FCS national titles. And what did they do after the Michigan upset? You know, just casually three-peated and won the title again. So, you take the masks off of both teams. It was an FCS Goliath beating an average Power 5 team. Funny enough, nowadays we see this all the time. Think about schools like North Dakota State, South Dakota State, and even Montana State. Sorry to burst your bubble. The Northern Illinois versus number 5 ranked Notre Dame game encapsulates everything that you want out of a shocking upset. And it also turned into a fantastic story for both parties involved. First, the obvious, spread and chances. The Irish were favored by 28 points and had a 98.8 chance to win, according to compiled analytics. analytics. Let's look at the recent history of these two teams going into the matchup. It was only week 2 in the season, so there was not much to base things from except the previous year. NIU was a 7-6 team in the MAC, arguably the worst conference in the FBS. Historically, this team was never great, with their last appearance in the AP poll being over a decade before in 2013. For Notre Dame, we really don't have to talk about it. We know what their expectations are like every season, and 2024 was more important than ever, considering they had a 3-loss year in 2023. It was playoffs or bust for third-year head coach Marcus Freeman. Notre Dame came out of the gate with one of the best wins in week 1 against a ranked Texas A&M team on the road. No one gave NIU a chance, and they really did the impossible. The shock value of this upset was on par with App State in 2007. Experts, casuals, and of course Notre Dame fans did not know how to act. Social media was on fire. But just this alone wouldn't cause this game to be considered the greatest upset ever. It's what happened after that made it immortal. Alright, I see the writing on the wall with this game. NIU beat Notre Dame on the road, so they're obviously going to be exceptional in 2024. They're ranked number 23 in the nation now. This is awesome. No doubt they'll win the MAC and compete as the Group of 5 representative in the 12-team playoff. You are telling me the Huskies lost in their very next game against Buffalo? Really? They finished 8-5 on the year. Okay, that doesn't justify this upset at all. So let's move on and look at Notre Dame. They must have had a pretty disappointing season. They won out and looked like the best team in college football for the rest of the year. Are you kidding? Let's be real. At least with the App State game, you can look back and say to yourself, yeah, that made sense. Or even a recent example with unranked Vanderbilt beating number 1 Alabama in October of this year. Bama went on to lose by 20 to a 6-7 Oklahoma team. But nothing about Northern Illinois shocking Notre Dame is logical. And as time goes on, we seem to have more questions, and that's why it stands above the rest. But it doesn't end there. Normally in an upset of this caliber, one school is on cloud 9 and the other is disheartened. More specifically, the coaches of the two squads, but in this case, the game created an unlikely friendship. After it was over, NIU's head coach Thomas Hammock exchanged words with Marcus Freeman and was nice enough to give him his phone number so the two could exchange advice. They had multiple phone calls during the season where Hammock would explain where Notre Dame was weak and why. The best part is that he wouldn't give this information to the public or any other team. He was actually rooting for the Irish to succeed. Hammock said, quote, "I'm a Marcus Freeman fan. I love his humility, his leadership, everything that he's done since I met him during that game. I wish him nothing but the best." Notre Dame, of course, had to change some schematics after the loss, but a shift in mentality was the most important, and Freeman credited that as a big reason they made it to the national championship. If you think Notre Dame's the only side reaping the benefits of this game, you're wrong. NIU used this win to gain attention and springboard themselves into a better conference. If you're late on the news, the Huskies are joining the Mountain West starting in 2026, and although it doesn't make sense geography-wise, which nothing seems to anymore, this is a financial and recruiting upgrade for NIU, as they'll consistently be playing higher competition, giving them a better shot to compete for the playoffs. Somehow, a catastrophic upset that made zero sense turned into a great story for everyone involved, and that's why NIU versus Notre Dame in 2024 will be a landmark in college football history forever.